Tonight I'm going to share with you my experience of tall ships and my love for adventure. I think I should start by saying, to your already curious minds, tall ships are almost everything you see on movies, the classic stories of Horatio Hornblower, maybe even similar to the very now tales of Jack Sparrow, but without the ammunition and arsenal. But I must say, the arsenal and ammunition part is quite interesting in itself because it kind of shows that in as much as adventure can at first glance evoke romantic ideals, it can also have at-your-face, nasty, gritty twists once you're in it, living the adventure you spent countless hours preparing. At first, you go through the usual doubt process where you ask yourself, why are you here? You're faced by seasickness. You recover, then land sickness. You have blisters on your hands, sleep deprivation, but because you love what you're doing passionately, you have a deeper reservoir to draw from. And sooner you push yourself beyond previously memorized limitations, and any question of doubt is non-existent. My story this evening is about the tall tales of the tall ships. So let me tell you more about this ship we sailed for 3 months from Cape to Bermuda, crossing the Atlantic, and even dodging the famous Bermuda Triangle. It is a Class A banqueting vessel, over 120 feet overall, a square-rigged and with countless ropes, lines to remember. Before I went on the ship, I had some sailing experience. But once I stepped onto the SV Concordia, I had to relearn sailing. I mean, there was just too much lines, ropes, knots, mast, people, and as you can imagine, diverse cultures living together in small confined spaces is a challenging experience. Conflicts and misunderstandings do arise, but they also provide a chance to grow, to stretch one's communication and negotiation skills and forsake preconceptions. One of the other intriguing stuff on board is the assorted bunch of characters. Where are the characters? Oh, yeah, they are. From John, who had lived afloat all his life, to Captain Bill, living without money most of his life, to Anna, the party animal, people-pleasing type, trying to find herself. The change and transformation that acquires in one's life in a voyage of such sort is invaluable. Besides, it was not a cruise. We sailed the ship ourselves, so its safety depended entirely on us. Which brings me to my next point. You see, the ship is constantly moving, so it must always be monitored at all times. For us, we're at different times taking turns to the helm. We also got woken up any time. And when I say any time, I mean any time. I remember one instance we were woken up at about 1 a.m. If I recall well, that was the first week of the voyage. And most of us were extremely seasick. So we would actually rush from our night watch, then we'll rush to our cabins and we'll fall asleep with our harnesses on. And yeah, and nonetheless, that day I was woken up and I was semi-sleeping and I had to go aloft and we had to fail all the sails and I went aloft on the Royal, which is like the top mast and the top part of the ship. And yeah, I went aloft. While aloft, contrary to what I thought and pre-imagined, I felt some sort of calm, the calmness you get while you're at pressure. I felt a strange feeling of being alive, a feeling that touched the depths of my being, a feeling of emancipation. That was the longest 15 minutes of my life. Nonetheless, on board we did a lot of navigational work, working on sextex, celestial navigation, plotting maps, and even dodging ice caps. While at day watch one time, while admiring the beauty and the expanse of the vast ocean, I found myself pondering about past sailors and how faulty their equipment and vessels were. But at the same time for them, they were in a way comfortable and confident in their seemingly naive approach to adventure. But I guess any great feat, one which is outside the wasp of normal repertoire of expedition, is greeted with disbelief and accusations of unpracticality. To add, in as much as we can have all these gadgets of today, nothing is really guaranteed. No safety, not complete accuracy. But we can't completely dismiss any of them because they also signal a human elevation. But there will always be a dichotomy, as in climbing, where there is alpine and the modern, more famous sugar-coated version. But going back to my story, my experience on board was of the navigational instruments of today and of the utter disbelief of yesteryears. When I think of men like Marco Polo and the epic voyage of the leather boat across the Atlantic, the Brandon voyage, marvelous stories of courage, men and women who set off driven by a dream and something deeper, a law, a latent curiosity in men to discover. They set off on a world circumnavigation with only basic instruments and at times only celestial navigation and a futuristic faith that moves mountains. One thing, though, I learned on the voyage is that we do not go to sea to learn how to sail, but more importantly, to learn how to live. That feeling I got while aloft was an awakening of something intrinsic in all, but often silenced by daily life of suit, lies, and ties. After that, I realized the greatest gift we've been given is just to be. Regardless of all that we think is important, nothing is really that important. My life to this very day takes its choreography from this very philosophy.